All right. Okay, so similar idea what we've done before. If inside, that shouldn't happen. If we're inside, it's plus, and outside, it's subtraction. Okay. So the intersection is inside, right here. So we're going to take this number and this number, add them together, and divide by 2. So 120 plus 40, divide by 2, x equals 80. This one we're trying to find x and y. And one thing we need is we need to find out what this is. So if we take 135 plus 65 plus 60, that gives us 260, which tells us this is 100. Okay, so now we have our two numbers to work with. 135 plus 65, which is 200, divided by 2 is 100. And here we have 100 plus 60, 160 divided by 2, which is 80. Now here, it's outside, so we're going to minus. So 175 minus 53, which is 122. And that's going to be divided by 2 to give us 61. Okay. Here, it's outside, so we're going to do 200 minus 88, which is 112. And if we divide 112 by 2, we get 56. So again, we're adding them and dividing by 2. Now in this one, we need x, y, and z. Now for z, we have the vertical angles right there. So if we add 78 plus 40, we get 118. And if we divide by 2, we get 59. And for x, we have our vertical angles of 104 plus 30, 134 divided by 2 is 57 degrees. What we don't have is this. So we need to add up 40 plus 30, which is 70, plus 50, which is 120, plus 78 and 104, and that gives us 302, and when we subtract that from 360, we get 58. So there's our two numbers, vertical angles there. So when you do 58 plus 50, which is 108, and divide by 2, and we get 54 degrees. Okay, now in this one, we're going to do these two, which is 160 divided by 2 is 80. So what we know is that this is 80 and this is 80 right there. So if you look at this angle and this angle form a straight line. That means y is 100. And z and x, if you think about this, this is a diameter right here. This plus this should be 180. So z is 70. And again here, this is a semicircle. So this plus this should be 180. So x is 130. And again, you could take x and z, add those two, divide by 2, and you get 100. So there were multiple ways of getting the 100 in the middle. Well, two main ways. There you go. Now this one's tricky because we already have this, and we're trying to find this. So remember, it's going to be x minus 50 divided by 2 equals 30. So now we got to do some backwards math. x minus 50 equals 60, and add 50 to both sides, x is 110. And again, you can go back and check that. 110 minus 50 is 60, divided by 2 is 30. So you can check your answers. All right? This one, even though we have the x there, we got to figure out what this is. Well, we know that because if this is 230, that means this is 130. 360 minus 230. And then it's just simply 230 minus 130 divided by 2, which is 100 divided by 2, which is 50. I thought it was recording. So we have a diameter here, so we have a semicircle. That's 180. If you add 180 and 64 and then divide by 2, you get 122. Now, some of you might have seen another way to do this. If we know that this arc right here is 64, and these two are equal, and this is 180, that means if we take 180 minus 64, we get 116, which means this is 58, and this is 58. And then since this is a straight line here, they are supplementary, so 180 minus 58 is 122. So just a different way of approaching it. All right, so in this one, remember, if it's inside, it's part times part equals part times part. So 2x equals 5 times 4. X is 10. Here is part times whole equals this squared. So 4 times 18, not 14, equals x squared. So that means x squared equals 72. We square root both sides. 36 goes into it 2 times. So the square root of 36 is 6. So the answer is 6 root 2. Part times the whole equals part times the whole. Remember to put this in parentheses. So 6 times 16 is 96. 5x plus 25. If I subtract 25, I get 71. And if I divide 71 by 5, I get 14.2. Part times whole, part times whole. Why put another equal sign there? So we have 54 equals 4x plus 16. We subtract 16. We get 38. And if we divide by 4, we get 9.5, or 9.5. Now, this one requires a little bit of knowledge here. We have a diameter and a chord, which means these are equal. So if that's 5, that is 5. So 4x equals 25. Divide by 4, 6.25. Part times whole equals part squared. So 8x plus 64 equals 144. 144 minus 64 is 80. And if you divide by 8, you get 10. Again, part times whole equals that squared. I think I said part before, but that's really just the whole thing, but it's outside. So x squared equals 100. So x is negative 10 and x is positive 10, but we cannot have a negative 10 here, so it's just 10. Part times whole equal to part times whole. So 6x plus 36 equals 126. Minus 36, we get 90. And if we divide by 6, we get 15. So first we need to find x. So that's going to be 18 times x, part times part, equals 9 times 6, 54. 54 divided by 18 is 3. So x is 3. Now to find y, this squared equals part, careful here, times the whole. 18 plus 3 plus 4, 25. So y squared equals 100. Y started right at 2. Square root that, just like the previous one. You can't have a negative value, so y equals 10. So two different types of problems here. First off, we're doing this arc plus this arc divided by 2. So 102 plus 130 is 232. Divided by 2 is 116. Then we're dealing with the inside lengths, not angles. Part times part equals part times part. And y equals 10. All right, again, two parts. So we have this one minus this one divided by 2. So 164 minus 58 is 106. Divided by 2 is 53. And then for the y, part times the whole equals part times the whole. So 14 times 28 equals 12y plus 144. If we subtract 144, we get 248. And then when we divide by 12, we get 20.6 repeating, which is also, if you recognize, 20 2/3.